So my name is JOSSE GILLIJNS. I'm the head of the Planning and Evaluation Department at the IFRC based in Geneva. Yeah.
My name is DURYEE, and I'm the Design, Monitoring and Evaluation Specialist for our Humanitarian Emergency Affairs at World Vision.
My name is JULIET Parker. I'm Senior Humanitarian Performance Advisor at Christian Aid in the UK.
One practice that comes to my mind here is that we have been successfully using is staff exit surveys. We have been setting them up after some large-scale emergency operations. We did that for Haiti, for the Philippines as well, and where in the early weeks following the disaster, we basically ask all our staff leaving the operation a limited number of questions. Their perception, basically, how well our fundamental principles are adhered to or not adhered to, how well we are incorporating views and opinions of the affected population. And we start with that in the early weeks after the disaster and let that run for several months. So by the time that we do a real-time evaluation or a humanitarian evaluation, we are able to provide to evaluators quite a lot of sort of insights from the staff that has operated in the operation. Oftentimes as well, those people have left then as well. So it's useful, it's anonymous, and it's definitely a practice that I found very useful. Another thing which I think we have tried, and I've only tried it sort of once, was in the context of the Haiyan operation, was using basically social media. Not every disaster generates these days as well a hashtag, sometimes more than one. And by basically analyzing the traffic on Twitter or on Instagram, what people are tweeting about, what people are basically talking about, you can find some themes that afterwards you may have them validated by your staff exit surveys or by other interviews. So it's an interesting tool to start triangulate some of the findings that would come out of a humanitarian evaluation.
I think, from my experience, one of the issues that most increases the usability of an evaluation is the quality of the recommendations and the extent to which they are actionable by the organisation that they're being made to. What we have started to do recently, and we now are doing more consistently, is to draft the management response on the basis of the draft report and the draft recommendations before finalising the report. What we found was it was a very simple step, but until the teams who are following up on the recommendations actually try to come up with what their resulting actions would be, they don't actually test the quality of the recommendations. And so we had previously had situations where we agreed and accepted and paid for the reports before actually testing the quality of the recommendations. And that, I think, has made a big difference to our ability to use the recommendations coming out of our evaluative experiences.
I can definitely think of a time where many things didn't work well, and we pulled it off. You know, we really did. I had a situation in 2013 when I was asked to manage an evaluation. No planning had been done whatsoever. No communication, even with the local office between myself and them, had taken place. And when I finally was able to arrive there and do the field visit and meet them in person, wonderful group of people, we were forced to make a decision to begin data collection in exactly 2 weeks from that date. And so we had to put the tools together and do the sampling, put a sampling frame together and get teams put together and get, training venues and get soup to nuts. Everything had to be done in that 2-week period. And it was we made a few adjustments. We did. The smartphones were instrumental in making sure that we were able to keep on target. The local team pulled together, and we have various components. We have a desk review that's mandatory in our evaluations, data collection, both households and focus group discussions and community leaders. So pulling all those tools together, everybody helped. All the translation that needed to be done in 2 different languages, all the, everyone just worked together. They put their head down and moved forward, and we made it happen.
That's great.
Okay, so I have 2 examples, if that's okay. The first is on the scope of the TOR. One of the most common issues that we come up with is that the scope of the TOR is too broad with too many questions, and that the commissioning teams are just being unrealistic about how much can be achieved by an evaluation in the given time and budget that's allocated to it. So often we find that during the course of an evaluation we have to go back and correct the scope of the TOR. And in order to do that, we have to make sure that we have some method by which we continue to have that conversation over revising and honing down what it is that we're trying to achieve. That means, and often it falls to the evaluator or the consultant to lead that process. They don't always. And that's where life becomes a bit difficult. Sometimes the consultant can feel that they are being asked to do this task, they've signed up to this task, and therefore they must deliver on this task, even if it's unrealistic. Where it works well is where the consultant is actually able to challenge the organisation and challenge us on the fact that we're being unrealistic. But to manage that process of revising and honing down the TOR, sometimes it only happens during the field activities as well, but we have to continue to revisit it, is one thing. The second is over the quality of consultants and evaluators that we use. Luckily, it doesn't happen too often, but sometimes it's only when you get to the field level activities for the evaluation that you realise that the consultant doesn't actually fulfil your expectations, either in their approaches or understanding of what it is you're trying to achieve, or even sometimes simply the understanding of how you work and who you are as an organisation. One of the ways that we deal with that is that we try to always have an internal member of staff not associated with the programme on the evaluation team, and I've seen at least 2 instances where having them there has meant that they've effectively backseat driven when the lead evaluator has not quite been up to what we were expecting. And that is not ideal, but in at least 2 situations in the last few years I can think of where that has worked extremely well and has rescued a process that we wouldn't have another opportunity to do, because setting up evaluations takes a lot of staff time, community time, partner time, and you don't necessarily get 2 bites of the cherry.